So I think let's wait for some time because I think new people are mm, there. No, no, I'm not saying anything, Shrikant. Um, we are just waiting for more people to join. So, Deepak, you were mentioning that you have to appear for one of the exams. What was the I mean exam? Deepak. So in the meantime, till other people join, why don't we actually interact a little bit to understand? You, I think you guys seems to be from batch 20, right? Parul?
Yes, yes, Fab 20.
Okay, Fab 20. So, so who was? I mean, Prashant was taking your
Nishant.
Nishant. Okay. So, how? I mean, what has been covered in so far?
We were on level 3 actually, and
Okay.
last 2-3 topics were left.
Okay.
Just a minute.
Mm-hmm.
Majorly, it was M&A.
Okay.
Yes, and then it was the mock interviews, preparation, and resume writing and all.
Okay.
Equity reporting was also left.
Sorry,
Equity reporting.
equity research report is also left. So, I mean, I just wanted to understand how come this financial statements and I mean doubt session came into picture. So, is it going to be a session or is it going to be you guys have asked for it?
No, we have not asked for it.
Okay. So,
It is because the schedule is probably for 19 or 20 or 21, whichever batch is being merged with us.
mhm. So
It's
no,
not for.
you are also from 20.
Yes, I'm also from 20. Me, Parul, Shrikant, and Manmeet. We are from batch 20, who are present in this call
Yeah,
now.
I know that. I know that. I mean, majority of the people from this batch were not there yesterday. Only Shrikant was there. You have some obligation, so you left in between.
Yes.
But the people from batch 21 are not here.
I don't see. Who is Sarit Das? I don't know which batch
Sarit,
he is.
Sarit, you are from 20 or 21?
link was
Sorry.
the link then today it is different.
Yeah, actually, that was her to join late now, and it's link 14. I check by joining this group that people might have been in that link as well, but don't know. So it doesn't allow me. Let me call Damini and check with her what is the scenario. Who joins or who is not, we should not waste time. So what is your expectation? Because see, you guys have got this topic of the financial statements and doubt session. I mean, it's going to be a doubt session. How do you want to actually run this? Because I think most of the people are from the same batch. So how do you drive this session? I'll actually plan accordingly. I mean, I thought it is something related to that this topic is not covered, but when you are saying that it is already, you guys are already in the session, level 3. So there is no point actually repeating the stuff which is there. How do you want us to, want me to take this session? Just a little bit guidance, then probably I'll devise or design the way you want it.
Actually, we are very fortunate. Number 20 batch, we have got these topics covered by two times. One was KPMG, and afterwards by Nishant.
Okay. So what was so that's actually, you can understand my situation. If I am going to take this session again, then probably it's going to be repetition and you are not going to learn something new. So let's focus from a point that we can learn something new, or I will try to discuss things with a different angle so that it will be fruitful. But it will be a fruitful session. I just don't want to repeat what you already know.
Actually, this session could have been planned for session 21. Oh, the group 21, and nobody is present over there because I think it is not planned for the group 20, FAP 20, and we have, I think we have never asked for this.
See, you will appreciate the fact that I just get the topic and I can't comment on.
That's what we have received also, and the way you are received, we have also received. We are with a strong.
So, is there anyone who spoke to Damini that this is already covered, or what is like that? Sahil is there. Sahil, you are from batch 20, right? Or Sahil, am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Sahil, you are from batch 20, right?
21, sir.
Okay, so from 21. So at what stage 21 is? I mean,
Sir,
so how?
just a second.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, sir. Just a second.
Yeah, can you tell other people also to join so that we will.
Sir, I'll putting up a message in my group. They'll come in just 5 minutes, sir.
Okay, who is caller one? Who is caller one? Caller one, can please. Who is caller one? So, Akansha, I think, what is your view? Akansha, I'm not able to hear some. Okay, okay. Sarit, you also have some problem. Parul, I think. So, Parul, how do you want to? I mean, I just want from the house that how do you want to use this time effectively? I don't mind because it's a doubt session, so we can discuss anything which you would like to, so that it is not going to be a repetition of what you already covered.
Like we were told that we would be merging with a group so that our course get completed and we can go on with the next process of placement and all. So I only want the both the groups 20 and 21 can if they are on the same page, if they are on the same level, then only we can continue, and otherwise I don't understand how, if they are on financial statements topic, so how
They
will
can't
continue with
connect the
that?
statements. I don't know. I mean, I am not sure about that. That's what I am checking with Sahil. Akansha, you can do one thing. You can disconnect and rejoin. I think when you reconnect, the problem will get resolved. So you just try disconnecting and reconnect it. Sarit, can I have your views? Manpreet, Manmeet, Sarit. So what is
Hi,
your view? Yeah.
sir. I'm from the FAB 21 batch, and we were on the level 2. So we were in the process of completing financial modeling,
Okay.
and then the classes got interrupted due to Nishant sir's health. So that's why we are about to complete level 2. That's why it was a refresher session for us on financial statements and problems and the doubt session. And
Okay. So it's
the FAB
basically, I mean, all these this topic is of level 1. So both the group which are here, I mean, have already covered this topic. So my view would be, let's discuss the issues which you are facing. So I can actually do one thing. I can jot it down, the issues faced by you, and then probably take up all the issues one by one, or if you have any better idea, I will follow that. Otherwise, I mean, yes, that doesn't make any sense to repeat what um, what is there, which is already covered. So be a little open here. I mean, that will be easy for you guys as well and for me as well. I can understand from both the groups that you guys have already covered financial statement. So whenever, I mean, So what is something which comes to your mind when you hear this word financial statements? Manmeet.
The financial statement consists of profit and loss and the balance sheet and the cash flow.
Okay. So whenever you hear about financial statements, you meant 3 statements: income statement, cash flow, and balance sheet. So which one is more important, income statement, balance sheet, or cash flow? Okay, let me ask let me ask one thing. If I'll give you an annual report, first what you would be looking at, I mean, out in the 3 statements, which one would you first look at? Know about the company.
Balance sheet.
Okay, why?
Because whenever we use the financial statement, the first step which comes in our mind, that first we will see the balance sheet of the company, that how the company is running, and by the balance sheet, we will let you know that what are the balance sheets, what is the present situation and till date of the company.
Anyone else would like to add something to this? Anyone else would like to add something to this?
I think all 3 are important.
Okay.
And flow and balance sheet.
Okay, and P&L.
Just to ascertain, the first look would be what are the net profits? Is the company in profit or losses? That's it. Then we can further analyze.
You can go further into it. But so what is the purpose of profit and loss account? Parul?
How much revenue the company has made out of his operations, and thereby deducting further expenses, non-operating expenses. So we just come out with the net profit.
Okay, if a company is not making profit, then that company is good or bad?
Then we can also look at the balance sheet.
Okay.
Like how much is in debt the company is into, or the company is in growing phase. There are several factors we need to look before just commenting on the profit or loss. So there can be other factors as well.
I mean, now when we are talking about these statements, we should be specific, not a statement. Parul is of the view that she'll be looking at the income statement. Manmeet is of the view that he'll be picking up the balance sheet. Is there anyone who has different opinion, or is someone different in opinion, or is supporting either Parul or Manmeet? I mean, let's make this session an interactive session. At the end, you will be very happy. I can assure you that you will be happy that we have spent 2 to 3 hours effectively. So that's the reason when we are actually talking about doubt clearing session, or we are talking about something, then either you bring out the doubts or I will create a situation where you will speak out. So that is what I can do. So focusing on that, when my simple question is, whenever you get a financial statements, so what is that you look at first? One is saying balance sheet, another one is saying the income statement. Is there anyone who has different opinion, or the person who is supporting someone, either Parul or Manmeet? Please speak out. Deepak, Shrikant, Akansha.
We'll go with income statement because that will create your balance sheet.
That will
That will give you the insight in the balance sheet.
That will give you insight into. I mean, speak a bit louder, yeah.
I'm quite louder.
Okay.
My volume of this headphone is approximately 80. Shall I make?
Okay. I mean, I mean to say that. Can you just please repeat what you said?
Okay, what I said is that I'll go with this first income statement because that will give for the period what losses or income the company has it, and afterwards the balance sheet, and both will create the cash flow statement.
Okay. So
And also, what is the purpose of this? It's if you have to go for the valuation part of that company, then we have to. We are more concerned about the free cash flow to the company as the cash flow statement and all that.
okay, is there anyone who has the similar view like Parul and Deepak? Shrikant. Shrikant.
Yes, sure.
Yeah.
Yes, sure. Yeah.
Sorry, Shrikant, you are not clearly audible. Can anyone understood what he said?
Hello.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah, Shrikant.
Sir, the purpose why we are seeing the financial statement is also equally important.
No. What financial statement you would pick first? That is what my question is.
In some cases, when we want to invest in a business, we will know about the profits and losses. Then profit loss statement would be important. And when we are to give loan or something to the company, then balance sheet is also important as well as profit and loss.
So whenever you go to a bank to take a loan, what bank will ask for? Balance sheet or income statement?
Both, but the bank will ask for both of them.
Bank will ask both.
Yes.
Or balance sheet first?
So it will ask balance sheet first.
Why do bank will ask balance sheet?
Because they generally give secured loan and they are more interested in the assets of the assets and liabilities of the company.
Okay. So now, Parul or Deepak, do you want to change your statement, or you still be going with the view of that income statement is more important than balance sheet? Or you will be picking up income statement irrespective of the fact that whatever balance sheet is in whatever state?
No, we'll go with income statement first because anyhow we have to see all the financials, but to see first glimpse for the company, I'll go with income statement.
Yes, me too.
Okay. And anyone, Akansha? Okay, she has some issue in terms of the audio. You're putting me in a very tough situation when you are saying that I'm not saying that one is better than the other. Yes, all the three statements are interlinked. They have a purpose, but my view, I may not know whether you will agree with me or not. But first of all, whenever you will talk about a company, you will first look at the balance sheet. What is the actually balance sheet as at a particular point of time? That is the reason whenever you either apply for a loan or whenever you will talk about that what you own actually. So whenever you look at your position as well, what you look at that this much property I have, you don't. Yes, I understand that we look at the yearly earnings, but yearly earnings are going to change with time. It definitely it should increase, but the most important thing which whenever I look at the company is my view is when one should look at the balance sheet first. The moment you look at the balance sheet, you know what is the standing of the company. Once you can you tell me by looking at the income statement that how much worth a company is? Yeah, Deepak, can you tell me by looking at the income statement?
Can we get the statement of profit and loss by seeing the balance sheet? I'm putting either way, because it's all the purpose. What the purpose? Your purpose, you are saying that your purpose is to get that investment. I want to make the investment. My purpose could have been different. So it's the difference, the way you are looking.
Your purpose, what is your purpose? I mean, how the purpose can be different when I'm talking about a company. What else you would be looking at the company apart from investing in that company?
Sorry, there are merger and acquisitions also, no? To see that.
Okay, in merger and acquisition, income statement is suffice to take a decision.
No. It is the most important part is the cash flow, where you will see the free cash flow to the company, and you do the valuation how much worth the company is actually, not because of the.
So how do you know about what's the worth of the company? Where that information will be?
It lies through all those three are intercorrelated to each other.
All
Yes,
are
we did
interrelated. Sorry, Parul.
We did not say that only P&L, and you just add the preferences like the sequence. So that's what I mentioned, that P&L, cash flow, and balance sheet. That three are equally important, but just as you asked about the which one do you follow first?
So my point was, when you look at a company, which financial statement you will be looking at first? I mean, if can anyone give me a purpose for which income statement is more important than balance sheet? I mean, I'm not saying that whatever you are saying is right or wrong, but my point here is when we are discussing something, then ideally we should know when I'm saying something, then I should know what I'm going to get from that.
Because through P&L statement you will get the what are the profit and loss of the company for the period.
So one period is not that important, right? If you look at
then you have to go to the rest of the also for 1 year balance sheet will not suffice for sure.
But balance sheet is as on date. If you have at a particular point of time, if you want to talk about a company's health, then I think any other statement will not give you health of a company at one point.
But how the health has been created?
No, but whenever health is created by the income statement and profit and loss, but it could be a possibility that the year which you are looking at might not be the best of the years. And if it is best of the year also, then best of the year is not giving you a guarantee to translate that into a good balance sheet. Whenever, why do we need? Whenever we will, I can put it in a straight away statement that whenever you will look at the any of the financial statement, the first have you checked the order by which statements are presented?
Yes.
So
It's a-
what is the order?
The balance sheet first.
Why do they can do that cash flow as well?
But you have asked my preference. I'll go with P&L.
Boss, I mean, how do I convince you that your preference should be what your preference should be what everybody should have the same preference? Now, you cannot be, deciding something which is out of the way. Or either you prove me that income statement is more important in all the situations, I'll go with you. I'm not.
What are the different situations? What are the situations we'll try to do that? Because we are not hardcore. Because I'm not from accounts background. We are from technical background. So we are. This is the first time from the last year we are reading these topics.
That is fine, but as a logical person or as a person, are you married, Deepak?
Yes.
Okay, so
Yes.
so you are married. Can you go back and recall when somebody would have came to see you for the marriage proposal, what they were talking about?
Actually, that has not happened with me.
Okay, so yours is a love marriage.
No.
Okay, so your parents decided. Okay, so I don't want to be into the personal discussion. I'm sorry if I have offended you, but my point here is whenever you are going to talk about something, you are going to first look at the actually the overall statement which gives you the net worth, and net worth is something which we get that type of information from. So that's why whenever you will be looking at a company, ideally one should go to the balance sheet and look at the different aspects. Okay, now my second question is, I'm out. Dropping this.
Still, I'm not convinced with your thought.
So what do you? How do I convince you then?
If you can connect the net worth of a balance sheet connected to the investor.
See, the point here is, okay, I don't. There are which are required from a decision making point of view. Don't look at income statement before you whether have to have what is the net worth of the company to decide about pitching to the company to offer a value. And from
Yes,
the
yes,
income
you can
statement,
go with for NAV approach of valuation. You can straightforward see from balance sheet.
So my point is, if you are looking to acquire a company and that company is not doing good, then also you will go to the balance sheet and understand the net worth of the company. Sometimes it happens that a business is struggling.
Means I can take my words back. It is not that we will not see the balance sheets or cash flow statements.
It's not about taking your words back, but what I want you to focus on is, whenever you will talk about, I mean, the basic example I can give you, when you look at a property, you talk about that value. You don't first talk about that how much rent you are going to generate from that property. So that is what the importance is. What is the value or worth of that property? That is only be known by looking at the balance sheet. So I mean, giving importance to income statement or cash flow, they have different purposes. Okay, do you know that what is the purpose of income statement apart from profit and loss? Profit and loss is something which they are presenting, but the nature is accrual. So you might be selling something on credit and generating lot of profit on an accrual basis, but not necessarily that is lying in your book. So that will only be checked by looking at the cash. There is a purpose of all these statements interlinked, but what is the most important thing is to which will communicate the worth of the company, and that I think it should be the balance sheet. I mean, looking at different statement doesn't mean that the ultimate purpose of looking at the company is going to be changed. So I think, I mean, I'm not convincing you that you don't look at but whenever you will talk about a company, I think the first thing one should recognize the worth of the company. I think I mean, that is what it is important. Yes, the company, if it is a profitable company, that itself translate that income is getting adding to the value of equity shareholders and equity holders, and that is again getting reflected balance sheet only. So that is what my point is. Okay, now whenever we talk about income statement, apart from so income statement, okay, let me jot down what I'm looking at from the income statement point of view. So whenever you look at income statement, apart from profit, what else you would be looking at the income statement?
The revenue being generated for the period.
Okay. And what else?
Again, it's a first or second or third in that sequence you want.
No. I mean, it's not about expense incurred contributed by Akansha. My point here is profit is something is the resultant of.
Yes.
Right? Profit is something which is a result of operations. That is something which is the purpose of the income statement. But there are other important aspects also which are presented in the income statement from an understandable point of view. What is that gives you an idea about? If you look at an income statement of a company, let's forget that the company is profitable or not. Profit is something which is the compulsion of presenting. Whenever you are setting off your income with expenses, you will the surplus or deficit is going to be there unless and until the situation is it's getting set it off in zero. So whatever you are generating, that is there. But what else information do you get from the income statement?
Because there are different heads for that. For example, the revenue part or the expense part or the depreciation part will look at that will give you the insight of how much assets you are carrying and what are the depreciation value. And again, you will look at to the balance sheet, what the gross block for your balance sheet and all. What are how much fixed assets are carrying in.
Okay, anyone else could try to comment on this? Parul, Manmeet?
Yes, I also feel the major is revenue, operating expenses, non-operating expenses, tax part, net profit, and how much would be our cash would be affected and our liability would be affected.
So income statement is not something which gives you about any idea about cash. So for the time being, when we are just focusing on income statement. And I buy your point that revenue is something which is another is your types of expenses. How much is operating expenses? How much is your non-operating expenses? When you look at the expenses, so how do you build up an understanding that based on the nature of expenses? Let's take a hypothetical situation where you are given an income statement, and by looking at the income statement, you have to give an idea about how to improvise of the company. So what all factors you would be looking into the expense side, so that you can generate more profit with the same set of operations.
Can you
You
repeat
want
once again?
You
Sorry.
want increased profits?
Yeah, I mean, I'm saying that as an analyst, what we always look at when we look at the profitability, we have to, if we have to forecast a company's income statement, revenue is something different, which we know that is going to be in what factors you would be looking at or suggesting from the point of view where you are focusing on increasing the profitability of the company.
I think two heads are like increase in sales and decrease in cost.
This is not under our purview. Right now, we are actually looking at the expenses. Expenses is something which is only left with us, because revenue, I'm saying that there is no change happening in revenue for quite some time. but you I mean, there has to be some ways of reducing the
duration rather than what has been there. This is just a vague thought.
vague thought. Okay, no issues. See, I mean, yes, Shrikant, you are right that we can go for restructuring, but before that, what we need to understand is what is the nature of expenses, how directly it has relationship with the revenue. When I'm saying that revenue is not going to grow, it is a kind of a constant thing, then the expenses which are of the fixed nature are not something which we can reduce directly, because if we cannot say that because of sales is not growing, so we will pay rent partially. So the nature is very important, and once we understand the nature of expenses, how they are contributing to the profit, the scope of reduction depends on the nature, and if it is a direct relationship with sales, then obviously if sales is not growing, then those type of expenses are not going to grow. And I mean, cash conversion cycle has its different impact, but directly it should not impact the PNL, because PNL talks about the recording of operations during a period which are pertaining to that period. So always expenses and revenue which is recorded in income statement is something which is related to that period, and that statement is done for a particular time period. And cash conversion cycle is something which talks about requirement from a cash conversion point of view, that when we are selling something, revenue minus cost is profit, and cost equal to, sorry, I just look at what Deepak has.
I've just put it that there are means the profit can be enhanced, revenue either increase the revenue or decrease the cost. The cost is fixed and variable. Fixed cost you cannot change for the shorter period of time. You can do it in a longer period of time. The only thing for the short period you can reduce the variable cost. And what are the components of variable cost are there? We have to see that.
Yeah, that is what I am saying. I totally agree with you, Deepak, that unless and until we understand the dynamics or nature of expenses, it is difficult to take a call. But yes, if we know that the nature is either fixed or variable, then it can be taken a call, though it is a hypothetical situation. But obviously the approach should be to understand nature of this. Okay, so now so when you do you know the different type of operating cash flows? I mean, what do you understand by the operating cash flows?
The cash flows which are generated from direct operations of the company, irrespective.
And what is the synonym of operating cash flow in income statement? I mean, if I don't want to actually make a cash flow statement, but based on the income statement, I would like to know how much would be my operating cash flows. So which number is I would be picking up from the income statement to be a proxy for my operating cash flow?
To start from the net income.
No, I'm not talking about net income, Deepak. I'm saying if you don't have cash flow, but if you have to look at a number which could be a proxy for operating cash flow in income statement. Am I clear what I'm asking?
Yes, yes.
So what could be the proxy of a number of income statement that could be used as a number for operating cash flow?
You are saying one single head in which you will give the proxy to cash flow from operations.
Yeah, but what is, I mean, exactly one number or not head, I'm saying. What could be proxy of income statement which can be considered as
EBITDA.
exactly. So can you elaborate why EBITDA?
Because it comes after deducting the direct expenses like raw material cost and other direct expenses. So the first thing we get is EBITDA.
Okay,
After that, we deduct indirect.
See, you are right, but I mean, there could be more elaboration from for your answer. Anyone would like to describe why EBITDA should be the right proxy for cash flow from operating activities?
Because the non-cash parts are not being included in that. Non-cash expenses and whatever we are deducting and then concluding to the net income are not the part of that.
A little bit.
It is directly operating and non-operating expenses being reduced from the revenue, and this gives the EBITDA. What I know.
Okay. See, Deepak or Parul, the point here is it's just the point which decides about the working operating cash flow. If we have to understand the interlinkages better, then we should know the reason of presenting that. When I say that operating cash flow, and I totally agree with Parul that EBITDA is the one which should be used for a proxy for operating cash flow, because first EBITDA includes non-cash items as well. If you take up the operating profit, that operating profit is after deducting non-cash items as well. I mean, non-cash item means the majority of the non-cash items are depreciation and amortization.
What
So
about SG&A?
SG&A is cash, basically. It's a cash expense.
No, these are overheads. We cannot draw directly the cash out of the company. It may be or may not be.
But when I am talking about operating cash flow or income generated from operations, that both numbers should be.
But we are deducting in non-operating expenses also, no, in the form of SGA.
No, SGA is not non-operating expenses. No, what is non-operating expenses from your, as per your understanding?
Which are not directly related to operations.
Who said that? Okay, if that is the case,
that's what we have understood.
No,
I mean,
direct relationship doesn't have anything to do with operating and non-operating. If you need a building for the operations, then do you consider it direct or indirect?
Sorry?
If you need a building to set up your operations, I mean, you need some of the staff which will take care of invoicing, other type of activities which are required for operations, but not directly required for operations. Means they are not into the manufacturing of, they are not manufacturing of that thing. Then do you consider that as an operating or non-operating?
It's operating expense.
It's an operating expense. Then direct and indirect is not going to be any impact on operating and non-operating.
I'm just saying that when we'll write down this equation of revenue minus COGS gives gross margin.
Mm-hmm.
And after that, we are putting rest of the topics and we evaluate EBITDA.
Which are other operating expenses, not non-operating expenses. That's what I'm saying. Can you cite any of the examples of non-operating expenses? Deepak?
Yeah, I'm just recalling.
Mm-hmm.
The operations, the cost related to training for the staff and all that.
Sorry, come again.
The cost related to the training for staff and all
Is non-operating.
Yes.
No, Deepak, classification is actually, first of all, we need to understand the classification.
Okay.
classification is done in 3 forms. Might be 4th category also there, but broadly into 3 costs. Either it is direct and indirect. All direct and indirect costs are part of operating expenses. So you cannot classify, if you're training somebody to do how to do a job, then that is, though not having a direct relationship with the with your operations, but it is an indirect cost which will result into the efficiency, or more people will be joined. You cannot hire, you can hire somebody, but you need to train, and the training is not direct, but it's an operating cost. Now operating and non-operating, we are bifurcating. Another type of classification is variable and fixed. Be it variable or fixed, it is part of operating expenses. So the classification by the nature in terms of direct or indirect or variable and fixed, all costs are by default operating cost. Non-operating income or expenses are those expenses which are there in your income statement but not generating because of the operations. The expense, like you have sold some asset and you gained something, you made a loss on selling some basically an asset which was not your core business area, core operating activity. All financial expenses and gain are non-operating in nature, because they are important, but they are not part of operating expenses. So that is what we need to understand, that based on the nature, be it direct or indirect or variable or fixed, that's basically scale benefit, all are part of operating expenses. And anything which is not related to operations directly or indirectly is something which can be non-operating expenses. So that is what it is important. If you are gaining from selling an asset which is not your part of operations, that should not be part of your cash flow from the operating activities. Now we need to understand from the structure. I'll just open one
question I have.
Yeah.
If you are exporting for revenue and you are gaining out of this, if you are exporting for your revenues and all that, and you are gaining through a forward cover, will it be a operating or non-operating?
It will be an operating expense. Can you just repeat, because I think you are talking about any translation stuff related to forex, right?
1 minute. Yes, related to hedging cost or hedging profit.
Hedging is not your operating activity.
That's what we are hedging for our export to mitigate the forex risk, and
yes.
Where it will go to? It will go to operating or non-operating? It has to be non-operating.
It will go to non-operating. That's why if you see,
accounting standard doesn't clear that. AS7 doesn't says that. It says you can charge it to the project for which as an operating income, to which you are doing this operations.
No.
India says this, because and internally in our company I was just there's no clarity for that.
See, I mean, on the accounting standard, I can't give my statement on, but based on my understanding, anything which we are gaining or losing on a part of hedging activity, that is not an operating activity. that should be part of non-operating activity can be added into other income or other expenses, or can be clubbed with your financial expenses, but definitely that is not going to be part of your operating activity. When you are calculating an operating profit, this expense or gain from this activity will not be part of your, basically from the part of your operating activity. So accordingly, if you are calculating cash from operating
if you are going logically, that okay, why you are taking forward cover? Why? Because of the operations.
No,
Because of the because
No.
you have to export it. Because you have to export it. You are just mitigating your risk by taking that forward cover.
you're mitigating
If
your
that
financial
operation-
risk, not operating risk.
No, means sorry. Okay.
You are mitigating your financial risk, not your operating risk. Operations is totally different from your financial risk. That is why I'm saying I'm not commenting on what accounting standard is telling you to do. I'm not an auditor. I'm not an accountant. I'm an analyst. Logically, what should be the definition of my operating expenses, that should be followed. If something which is not cannot be considered as an operating expenses, I cannot club that. Capturing in my income statement in other income or other expenses doesn't classify that to be an operating expenses. That is what I'm saying. Logically, if I'm hedging, then I'm just hedging my financial transaction, not my operations. In any condition, whenever I'm going to get that payment with exchange, any loss which is going to happen is not an yes, it is a part of a loss which will get reflected in the net income level, but it is not my if I'm considering transaction impact. What I mean by transaction impact is, right now I'm raising an invoice. I'm raising an invoice at a rate of current rate, which is 73 for US rupee exchange rate. But when when I receive that payment, I'll receive at that point of time, if it is 72, then that loss is my financial transaction loss, not my operational loss. That will be part of my other income or expenses, but not going to be my part of my operating expenses. Yes, I can record directly, that I understand that, but it is not possible for us as well to bifurcate that. So I will be using that a part of my profitability. So
And just because of deferment of operations, financial risk is happening, then
transactional things could be difficult to bifurcate. That's why they can be part of the operations, but because that is actually leading me, what I'm getting the actual payment, what I'm raising as an invoice is normal part of my transactions. If I'm going to hedge that transaction for 73, 74, 75, that transactional loss on hedging is not going to be my operating this thing. So that is what
and that loss is happening just because of operations. Operations are being delayed. Still, we are not considering it as an operating part.
No, it is not. I mean, hedging activity is not my part of operations. Yes, the loss to be part of my operating activities, because when I'm raising, I'm saying that this is the value of goods which I'm delivering to you. But when you are actually getting the payment, the rate of exchange is not in your control. That is part of, that is what the benefit you are getting in transactions. So it might be a different situations. You're raising at 73, you get 74. So that is part of your core operation, because that's an exchange transactional exchange rate. If it is a transactional impact, means at the now you are owning some asset in foreign currency, and when at the time of preparing a balance sheet, you are converting that into rupee, and because of that you are making a gain or loss, that is also not going to be part of your operating activities. That is, I mean, that is translation expense, and translation charges are not part of your this thing. That's why, I mean, if you just go by the the treatment of this type of transaction, which is the translation impact, then what we need to do is we are not directly taking that to the income statement. We are capturing that under the reserve in comprehensive income.
OCI.
Yes, that is what I'm saying, other comprehensive income. And whenever that expense, that translation relates to that particular period, I mean, it's a translation amount. You are owning the asset, you owned it at 100 crores with exchange. Sometimes it could be 90, it could be 110. So till the time you sell that property and actually realize that amount, you will not charge that to the income statement. That is what the logic says. And though in any translation issues related to foreign exchange, what you will be going to do, you will be parking that difference in your comprehensive income. Getting, otherwise who is restricting you to charge your translation losses?
The accounting standard don't go with logic.
Boss, my point here is, whenever I'm getting financial statements, I'm getting the audited financial statement. I'm not there to doubt the income, how things are getting done in transactions. That is not my area of purview. But what I can say, that what logically and practically what is feasible and possible, we should focus on that. That is why many of the practices might be contradictory to what we do, but logically we cannot be wrong.
Okay, we can move ahead.
Yeah, so that is what I'm saying. So whenever we are talking about expenses, we should only understand the nature. And when we are comparing income statement with your cash flow statement, just understand. I'll just give you one income statement and cash flow, which will give you more clarity on how things are actually taken care of. 1 second. दोनों साइड बाय साइड दिखाई दे रही है ना? गाइस, हाँ जी, मेरी स्क्रीन शेयर हो रही है ना?
पीएनएल थोड़ा सा लेफ्ट साइड से कट रहा है।
ओके, कोई नहीं, मैं इसको कर देता हूँ। हाँ जी, अगर मैं ये कहना चाहता हूँ कि हमें जो समझने की जरूरत है, विच इज फ्रॉम द प्रेजेंटेशन पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू, I'm starting income statement, I'm starting from revenue and reaching out to my income from operation. What I'm doing in my cash flow, that I'm starting it from net income. So these two numbers are related to my income from operations has already deducted the depreciation and amortization or all non-cash items. If I add that, then also it will be going to give me how much. It's going to be like 7,000 plus 76. It's going to be around so my EBITDA, the crude form of EBITDA is going to be this. But when you look at my my cash flow statement, what I'm doing is I'm starting from income statement, but mostly we are starting our cash flow for the calculation of cash from operating activities from net income, so that everything is already taken care of. Nobody is restricting me to starting my cash flow for the calculation of cash from operating activities from income from operations. I could have can start it from here as well, but I'm starting it from here. So when I'm starting it here from here, then what I'm doing, I'm actually moving upward. Moving upward means I'm actually adding all non-operating expense, non-operating incomes, deducting non-operating incomes and adding all non-operating expenses, so that I can reach out to a level which should be somewhere from income statements operating profit, including non-cash item. So that is what we need to understand, that in cash flow we are starting from the bottom, and that's why we are adding back everything to come to the operating level. We can start from anywhere. Either it could be net income, it could be profit before taxes, or it could be from you can say that from operating income. If we start from the operating income, then we just have to add the 2 or 3 line items which are actually non-cash items. So that is what from where we are starting our cash flow. Only importance should be given to the starting point. Once we know from where we are starting, then it's just a matter of actually matching the operating income which is there in my income statement. Just we need to adjust my non-cash items which we might have considered while calculating my operating income, because when we are calculating our operating income, we are not segregating that if this is an expense which is cash basis or non-cash basis. So that is what the difference is. So whenever we are actually looking at my income statement or cash flow, for the cash from operations, looking at the EBITDA level will give you a sense that how much cash they are going to have. if we just take out the basically the capex part of capex or investments which are going into the business, then what we are going to get, we are going to get a kind of a cash flow which is available for distribution purposes. And distribution purposes, either it can be used for repaying my debt obligations, or it could be used to give dividends, or actually for buybacks. But that is a kind of a capital amount available with me for servicing my capital. So that is what it is important to understand the nature. And once we know that, what is the starting point for my cash flows, so once we know that, then it is easy for me to judge how much cash I would be generating from operations, if we consider that everything is done on cash basis. That is what, when we forecast, we most probably try to follow the same reporting structure, but many of the assumptions which are different from accrual and cash basis, but we don't make any assumption in difference of accrual and cash basis. That's why whatever expenses in terms of taxation or in terms of interest we are accruing in the income statement, we are assuming that is already taken care and paid within the period. So that is what it is important. When you look at cash from operations, that could be also proxy from income statement, and that income statement level is similar even if you started from anywhere, be it net income or any point. It's just that you have to reach to a level which is going to reflect the starting point of income from operations or cash generated from operating activities. Fair enough? Any question? Yeah, any question related to this? So do you know what is deferred tax assets? Complete silence. What happened? Are you there with me, or I'm alone here? Deepak?
No, all are here.
Okay.
Because for deferred tax asset as well as liability, there are two different balance sheets we create, or profit and loss statements we create. One is for tax authority, one is for our purpose. Whatever is applied to authorities, that you have to pay. If you pay additional taxes, you can take that will be your assets. If you have paid less taxes, then it will create a liability to you.
Okay.
And that's what you have to pay in future, or we will get in the future, asset or liability, whatever be the nature of that component.
Mm-hmm. So this is one method. Any other way of creating this deferment of liability or assets?
Sorry?
I mean, any other, I mean, you are talking about two laws under which income is generated, and based on the difference you are calculating your deferred tax assets basically. And is there any other reason of having contributing to deferred taxes? Any other this thing?
No, I don't know.
Okay. So the method which you talked about, Deepak, is basically the calculating differences. But there is one other way, which other reason is the timing of these calculations. When you present your income statement, that period is from January to December or from April to March. But when you file your income tax return, what you are doing, you are actually calculating your tax based on your accrual method and submitting that. And that there could be filing a return, the taxation would be different. The tax would be different. If you are paying additional, that would lead into a kind of a deferred tax asset. If you are paying less, which could be your liability, which you are liable to pay in future, that will fall under the category of deferred tax liability. So basically, it is not only the calculation, it is the timing difference as well. Because in income statement, majority of the portion of calculation might be based on the accrual basis, but or it could be a mix of accrual and actual, or cash basis to be precise. But when that accrual get changed into the actual cash, the difference could be different. That is what I have on Excel, which might give you an idea of the calculation. Majority of the time, actually, calculation of depreciation would be the major reason of calculation. Here, what I'm trying to present here, my screen is visible, right? So what I'm saying is, this is basically my EBITDA. This is my depreciation. As per income tax department, they are charging depreciation of 80 based on their slabs, and for company they are charging 100. So that's why income tax department is asking for more tax. I mean, that they are paying 84 lakhs, millions, crores of tax, but in your company books you are showing 80 as this. So the difference from tax department to my department, if it is positive, it should result into basically a deferred tax asset. If it is resulting into payment of less taxes, which could arise my liability in future, then it could be a deferred tax liability. Fair enough. So that is what the concept. But timing also creates such issues, which could also lead to the deferment of taxes. But that is not possible from a modular point of view. We can only think from the calculation point of view, and difference of calculation resulting in less or higher tax payment would be the basis for deferred tax asset or deferred tax liability creation. That is what the funda is all about. But another reason could be, you would see that income tax provision for income tax is 52,282, and here they haven't actually shown your taxes, but I can go back and check. But at the bottom there are sometimes they provide cash paid for income tax. So this is something which they have paid, 28 million 6,076 which they paid in. Oh, sorry, 1,078 is something paid as tax. They have provided something which is actually a kind of